Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Simate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Om Jnanam Timirandasya Gyanam Gyana Shalakaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsha Sirupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadotam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Visabhanu Sate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhya eva cha Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivastadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Creation, Chapter 8, Prayers by Queen Kunti, Text 36. So I have this also in the computer. If you have your smartphone, 1836 1836. Sinvanti gayanti ginanti abhikshnasa smaranti nandanti tavahitam jana Eva pashyanti achirena tavakam bhava pravaho paramam padam bhujam. Okay, let me see if I can do this. Shinvanti gayanti ginanti abhiksnasa. Every one of you. Shinvanti gayanti ginanti abhiksnasa. Smaranti nandanti tavehitam jana. Smaranti nandanti tavehitam jana. Taeva pashyanti achirena tavakam. Bhava pravaho paramam padam bhujam. Bhava pravaho paramam padam bhujam. Shinvanti gayanti grinanti avikshnasha. Smaranti nandanti tavehitam jana. Taeva pashyanti achirena tavakam. Bhava pravaho paramam padam bhujam. Somebody else? Srinvanti gayanti ginanti avikshnasa. Smaranti nandanti tavehitam jana. Taeva pashyanti achirena tavakam. Bhava pravaho paramam padam bhujam. Mataji's, from Mataji's side.
Srivanti Jayanti Grinanti Abhikshnashaha.
Srinvanti gayanti ginanti avikshnasa.
Smaranti Nandanti Tavehitam Jana.
Smaranti nandanti tavehitam jana. Taeva pashyanti achirena tavakam. Bhava pravaho paramam padam bhujam. Okay, word for word meaning. Shinvanti, hear. Gayanti, chant. Grinanti, take. Avikshnasha, continuously. Smaranti, remember. Nandanti, take pleasure. Tava, your ihitam, activities. Jana, people in general. Te, they. Eva, certainly. Pashyanti, can see. Achirena, very soon. Tavakam, your. Bhava pravaha, the current of rebirth. Uparamam, cessation. Pada ambujam, lotus feet. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O Krishna, those who continuously hear, chant, and repeat your transcendental activities or take pleasure in others doing so, certainly see your lotus feet, which alone can stop the repetition of birth and death. Everybody, please repeat after me. O Krishna,
O Krishna,
those who continuously hear,
those who continuously hear,
chant,
chant,
and repeat your transcendental activities,
and repeat your transcendental activities,
or take pleasure in others
or take pleasure in others,
doing so,
doing so,
certainly
certainly
see your lotus feet,
see your lotus feet,
which alone
which
alone
can stop
can stop
the repetition
the repetition
of birth and death.
of birth and death.
Purport. The Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, cannot be seen by our present conditioned vision, or present conditional vision. In order to see him, one has to change his present vision by developing a different condition of life full of spontaneous love of Godhead. When Sri Krishna was personally present on the face of the globe, not everyone could see him as the supreme personality of Godhead. Materialists like Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, Kamsa, Jarasandha, and Shishupal were highly qualified personalities by acquisition of material assets, but they were unable to appreciate the presence of the Lord. Therefore, even though the Lord may be present before our eyes, it is not possible to see him unless we have the necessary vision. This necessary qualification is developed by the process of devotional service only, beginning with hearing about the Lord from the right sources. The Bhagavad Gita is one of the popular literatures which are generally heard, chanted, repeated, etc., by the people in general. But in spite of such hearing, etc., sometimes it is experienced that the performer of such devotional service does not see the Lord eye to eye. The reason is that the first item, Sravana, is very important. If hearing is from the right sources, it acts very quickly. Generally, people hear from unauthorized persons. Such unauthorized persons may be very learned by academic qualifications, but because they do not follow the principles of devotional service, hearing from them becomes a sheer waste of time. Sometimes the texts are interpreted fashionably to suit their own purposes. Therefore, first, one should select a competent and bona fide speaker and then hear from him. When the hearing process is perfect and complete, the other processes become automatically perfect in their own way. There are different transcendental activities of the Lord, and each and every one of them is competent to bestow the desired result, provided the hearing process is perfect. In the Bhagavatam, the activities of the Lord begin from his dealings with the Pandavas. There are many other pastimes of the Lord in connection with his dealings with the Asuras and others. And in the 10th canto, the sublime dealings with his conjugal associates, the gopis, as well as with his married wives at Dwarka, are mentioned. Since the Lord is absolute, there is no difference in the transcendental nature of each and every dealing of the Lord. But sometimes people in an unauthorized hearing process take more interest in hearing about his dealings with the gopis. Such an inclination indicates the lusty feelings of the hearer. So a bona fide speaker of the dealings of the Lord never indulges in such hearings. One must hear about the Lord from the very beginning, as in the Srimad Bhagavatam or any other scriptures, and that will help the hearer attain perfection by progressive development. One should not therefore consider that his dealings with the Pandavas are less important than his dealings with the gopis. We must always we must always remember that the Lord is always transcendental to all mundane attachment. In all the above mentioned dealings of the Lord, he is the hero in all circumstances, and hearing about him or about his devotees are combatants is conducive to spiritual life. It is said that the Vedas and Puranas, etc., are all made to revive our lost relation with him. Hearing of all these scriptures is essential. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purport, first canto, chapter 8, text 36 of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Prayers by Queen Kunti. Shinvanti Gayanti Ginanti Avikshnasha Smaranti Nandanti Tavehitam Jana Ta eva Pashyanti Achirena Tavakam Bhava Prabaho Paramam Padam Vujam. So here the secret of one who wish to stop the repetition of birth and death is clearly explained. Huh? Just by hearing, constantly, continuously, hearing and chant and repeat the transcendental activities of the Lord. One will take pleasure, huh? And by doing so, he will certainly have darshan of the Lord's lotus feet. That means having darshan of the Lord's lotus feet is our goal. When we see the Lord's lotus feet, that means he's there. The whole beautiful form, transcendental form of the Lord will be able to have darshan or see. And this alone can stop the repetition of birth and death. No one wants to die. We were talking about that last night in Capitolio. No one wants to die. People, as much as possible, they want to live forever because this is the nature of the soul, to live forever. The soul never dies, it's only the body. So if we continuously hear, sing, speak, and remember, that's Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam, and sing about the transcendental activities of the Lord, then there's no more repeated birth and death. And after death, we'll be able to see the beautiful form of the Lord, or even before death. Because the hearing, the name, fame, form, qualities, and pastimes of the Supreme Lord, and also reciting and remembering his pastimes, his qualities, his fame, then one comes to the spiritual platform. So this is the main reason of why the Supreme Lord appeared from time to time. Just recently, 500 years ago, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also has told us that we should follow in the footsteps of the Brajavasis, because they're always engaged in hearing and chanting and remembering the Supreme Lord. Every time the Supreme Lord will perform his pastimes, then the Brajavasis will create or compose songs glorifying that pastimes. So during the whole day, they will sing these different pastimes. And for those who will recite or hear or sing the same pastimes, then he is considered to be transcendental. Because if we absorb ourselves in these activities, then it is for certain that we don't have to take birth again in this material world. Our next birth will be in the spiritual world. It says here, they see him without delay, achitrena, not after a long time. Uh, but the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Krishna has unlimited expansions. We call them avatar. It's not the movie Avatar. You must have heard of that movie, Avatar. It has nothing to do with Krishna. They had the biggest budget, about $200 million to make that movie, but it has nothing to do with Lord Krishna. Avatar means one who descends from the spiritual world. So the Lord himself directly comes to the material world to perform his pastimes. It says in the Bhagavad Gita that the Lord appears from time to time, yada yada hidharmasya glani bhavati bharata. He comes to annihilate the demons, and also to protect his devotees. But ultimately, the Shastra says that the Supreme Lord appears from time to time, once in one day of Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma, he is the topmost jiva in our universe, and he lives for 311 trillion years. His 24 hours is 8.6 billion years. It's 12 hours, 4.3 billion years. So once in one day of Lord Brahma, the Lord comes to perform his pastimes, specifically to attract the conditioned souls, to go to the spiritual world, to go back home, back to Godhead. Without him coming and performing his pastimes along with his eternal associates, then we will not have that inspiration. We will not see the activities of the Supreme Lord, which attracts us not to take birth again in this material world and to go back home, back to Godhead. So, knowing the Supreme Lord's activities is our goal. It says in the Bhagavad Gita also, Janma, Janma karma chame devyam egam yo viti tatpata chakbadayam punarjanma. Naitim amiti sa Arjuna. One does not have to come back again into this material world to take birth. Once we understood that the activities and the appearance of the Supreme Lord is divine. So this is the goal of human form of life. We should not be so much absorbed in other topics. Sometimes it's needed, it's like there's some news, okay? We hear the news, we want to see or hear what's going on all over the world. Devotees should also know the current events. We should not focus. It's like a person who's been reading a newspaper. He'll spend like 2 hours, 3 hours reading the newspaper. Huh?
Jagadvira. Always always updated.
That's good. So you should tell them what's going on. Okay.
Was looking from behind.
Tell them what's going on. Yeah, like if there's war, like different parts of the world, there's war going on.
Waiting for the.
We're ready at war.
Prepared.
Okay, don't speak now. Later on, you can speak when I ask you. We are at war also with our mind. It's very difficult to control. Prabhupada says the devotees declare war against Maya. So we should know what's going on all over the world, but we should not be so focus only on what's going on in the world. We should also focus more on what's going on in the spiritual world. Because if we are absorbed in that topics in relation to the Supreme Lord, then at the time of death, hope against hope, we will remember Krishna. If we're only absorbed in chismis and be amarites, then you know, oh, what is that? That will not save us from the cycle of repeated birth and death. So our main focus should be, yes, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. That's why I suggested to you, even if you're only two or three here in the ashram, you can read with each other, or from each other. One can read like, one paragraph and then pass the book to the other devotee. In this way, we should be absorbed in the topics in relation to the name, fame, form, qualities, and pastimes of the Supreme Lord. Because this is the only way how we can become free from the cycle of repeated birth and death. It will destroy the influence of the material existence. It's like a medicine. But the problem here, a diseased person, he doesn't want to take the medicine because the medicine is bitter. In the beginning, we want to hear more about, yes, mundane topics. What's going on in the movie world? What's going on in the politics? What's going on in nonsense things? TikTok, or Facebook, or Instagram, and all these things. Modern day waste of time. And how often do we open Srila Prabhupada's books? How often we actually dive deeper to understand the message of the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. Yes, we don't have taste, but how will we have the taste? How we will gain the taste is by opening the book and read. Even though we don't understand what's going on, but it is very purifying. Like one time, Srila Prabhupada, he was giving a class in South India, and he was speaking in Hindi. And amongst the audience were his disciples and followers. So on the first day, they were there. They were hearing from Prabhupada. So the next day, only few remained. Still, Prabhupada was giving in Hindi. But then he asked some of his disciples who were absent. After the class, he called them. He says, "Why are you not there? Why are you not present?" He says, Srila Prabhupada, we cannot understand the language. We only know English. Prabhupada says, you may not understand the language, but the potency of the sound vibration is so potent, so effective that by just hearing about them, actually your heart becomes cleansed. Like in the beginning, I don't know what's going on in the Bhagavad Gita. First time I've read the Bhagavad Gita, it's very difficult. I was alone in Canada. I don't have anybody to ask. It's only later on, just by continuously reading and hearing. Hearing means reading. These are narrations about the Lord and his devotees, especially Queen Kunti. She's praying. So by continuously hearing and hearing and hearing, eventually our hearts will become cleansed. From what? From all misgivings, from all the contaminations that we have acquired since time immemorial. So, without delay, a person who continuously is like, again, I gave this example many times, like a person who has jaundice. then he tastes sugar very bitter. But actually, these are all nectarian. These are all amritam. Amritam, that means nectar that can save us from the cycle of repeated birth and death. And eventually, one will have the darshan of the Lord's lotus feet. Again, why we emphasize, or why Prabhupada emphasize, or the Shastra, the scriptures emphasize lotus feet. It's like the Lord's lotus feet are the ways how we can take shelter of. By taking shelter of the Lord's lotus feet, we become free from the cycle of repeated birth and death. Huh? And in India is like this: a person who is more senior, even by age, seniority means by knowledge. Even a person who just first come into Krishna consciousness, or recently, he can be very advanced. He understood the conclusion of the Shastra. He understood the conclusion of the Vedas. So when we take guidance and when we hear from those who are far advanced than we do, then we'll get their blessings. We get their mercy. So in India, this is also the tradition. They will touch the feet of the elders, like the parents. You must have seen that, right? They will touch, try to approach the lotus feet or their feet, um, or the sadhus or the sages. Because if we do, then they're not the one who's getting the benefit. We are the one who gets the benefit. We'll be blessed. We'll be blessed by the Supreme Lord's devotees or our elders, those who are senior than us. So ultimately, it is for certain that it is not that they do not see or they will not see. They will see without delay. And after a long time, not after a long time, the lotus feet of the Lord will be able to have darshan. Hmm. It is the abode. Actually, in the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, it's like in Vrindavan, the markings of his lotus feet are visible everywhere. 5,000 years ago, or even 500 years ago, even the parents of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they can see the markings on the sole, on the bottom of the feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that when he will walk everywhere, they can see the different markings. You must have seen the markings of the Lord's lotus feet, right? There's a temple, there's tulsi, there's an arrow, there's a bow and arrow, there is a rainbow also, and many, many other things. There's a fish also, umbrella, a goat. Yes. So why? What are those? They're not there just for decorations. There are many different meanings of those markings from the Lord's lotus feet. Like fish. What what is the fish doing in the Lord's lotus feet? He says that because the fish who lives in the water uh, is very difficult to catch, slippery. So similarly, one who takes shelter of the Lord's lotus feet, then Maya will not be able to catch him. Maya will not be able to catch. Uh, yes. So the Lord's lotus feet destroy the influence of material existence. So rather than prolong, this is our conditioning. We want to stay in the material world as long as possible. A conditioned soul, he does not want to die because he's a spirit soul, so he doesn't want to give up his body at the same time because of illusion. Not knowing that actually there is a life full of knowledge, bliss, and eternality. So, but a conditioned soul would like to prolong his life as much as possible. They will do all the necessary things to live forever in the same body. But that is not possible. As much as possible, we've heard, yeah, even the movie stars, how come they look the same after many, many years? Because they have this facelift. But sometimes they also made a mistake. Instead of becoming beautiful, they become ugly. You know, the facelift, the Botox, then it becomes big. They look like Frankenstein sometimes. No, we cannot do anything to beautify this body. But a devotee is automatically beautiful because of the presence of the Lord's lotus feet in their consciousness. They'll be able to remember Krishna all the time. Devotees, they look young, even though they're very old. Ah, why? Because they get up early in the morning, they perform their sadhana, they chant the holy name of the Lord, they hear his pastimes, they only eat Krishna prasadam, and they're associating with each other. So there is no death. For the devotee, actually, there is no death. How is that? Because after death, whatever we're doing now, it continues next lifetime. There's nothing else to change. We do the same thing again and again every day. But why is it that we don't get tired of it? We don't ask, is there anything different in this? Is there anything different than what we have to do? We get up before sunrise, we do Mangal Artik, we chant our rounds, we read Srila Prabhupada's books, we go on Harinam, we go Food for Life program, and the next day is the same thing again. Would you ask yourself, oh, I'm sick and tired of this. Is there anything else here? Bhakta Joe, is there anything else that we have to do? Nothing. It's the same. Yeah? Because it is eternal. The activities of the Lord and his devotees are eternal. So after death, we continue the same thing. There's nothing to change. It just becomes more and more nectarian. It just becomes more and more sweeter. It just becomes more and more inspiring to do. So we need a few things in order to maintain that taste. We have to be enthusiastic. Utsahan nisyayat daryat tat karma pravartanat. We have to be enthusiastic. And what is enthusiasm means? It says in the Nectar of Instruction that enthusiasm doesn't mean keeping yourself busy. That is also part of being enthusiastic. Not to be lazy. Keep yourself busy. But use one's intelligence. I've seen sometimes devotees, they're so busy, going back and forth, doing many, many things, but they're not able to accomplish one thing. It's better you perform one activity and finish it and then start a new one. Have you seen devotees like that? Huh? So busy, and then being busy at the same time, committing offenses to others. Ah, wanted to be numero uno, but then you are stepping on them, others. So that is not wanted. That is not proper. So the devotee's focus is always meditating on the Lord's lotus feet. Ah, because we feel protected. The only shelter that the devotees will have is only under the shelter of the Lord's lotus feet or the lotus feet of his pure devotees. So the lotus feet of the Lord destroy the influence of material existence. And rather than prolonging one's material existence, then the influence of material existence doesn't affect the devotee, especially those of you who live in Manila. Hare Krishna. Very difficult. Better live in a farm or some place where there's not so much influence of Maya. Maya is everywhere, of course, but there are places which are more conducive in becoming Krishna conscious. Living in the city, that means you have to work in order to maintain your family. Without working, no one can exist. But Prabhupada, he says, I have not completed my mission because 50% of my mission is that of Daivi Varnashram. I was speaking with one devotee yesterday in Makati. Is the disciple of His Holiness Radhanath Swami. So he's into Varnashram Dharma. In the city, it's very difficult to establish Varnashram Dharma, whereby the spiritual orders, the different spiritual orders, namely Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas, is being performed in each and every one. Or here in Manila is a social class. Sudra, Vaishya, Kshatriya, and Brahmanas. Unfortunately, 99.99% people are in the Sudra category, working class category. So devotees may belong to that working class section of the society, but if they practice Krishna consciousness, then they're beyond the social class. They're Vaishnavas, devotees. And Prabhupada says at least there should be a class in the society that will be in the Brahminical status. That means one who cultivates knowledge about Brahman. Brahmana iti Brahman. So even though you're in a city as big as Manila, we're just a small portion of the whole NCR. Manila is quite busy. Just to go from one place to another and to do work, it'll take up practically the whole day. Like let's say you go to Caloocan today, that's it. Your whole day is there. That's all. So you're all busy. I understand. You should be busy. Materially, you should be responsible as well. I was listening to a class this morning. Srila Prabhupada was talking about brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas. That of all the four classes, it is only the grihasthas that is prohibited to beg. Actually, they're the ones. The grihasta is supposed to be the one who provide uh, towards the brahmachari, vanaprastha, and sannyas. The vanaprastha, that means the retired life. Um, the brahmacharis, the student life, and the sannyas, those who are in the renounced order of life, they can surrender 100% and give everything to Krishna. Now, the grihastas cannot do that. They cannot give 100%. Let's say they work. So they can only give maximum, should be 50% to Krishna, 25% for themselves, for the, let's say, the husband, and 25% should be kept aside for the family. 25% for oneself, just in case of emergency. And it is a duty of the grihastas also to support the brahmacharis, grihastas, and vanaprasthas. So in this way, he's doing his duty because the grihastas, they have responsibilities towards their family. But they should not be so absorbed in working like a dog, is what they say, and not be able to maintain the other three spiritual classes or section of the society. Because it is the duty of the grihastas to do that. In the Vedic times, it says that the grihastas, before they eat, they will go outside and shout, "Is there anyone hungry here? Please come. We're going to have prasadam now." Is there anyone doing that now? Uh-uh. Nobody. Nobody. And usually the grihastas, they only invite the sannyasis. They should also invite the brahmacharis for some program. And the vanaprastha. Very soon, our society, I mean, in ISKCON, there'll be a class whereby there'll be a retired section. And we're not prepared for that. We're not ready for that. Because the grihastas, mostly they are so attached to the family that they don't want to go into that retired life. In the Varnashram program, the Vanaprastha is supposed to be at the age of 50, or the husband and wife, they don't have any more physical contact and they will travel and become more absorbed in developing their bhakti, their love towards the Supreme Lord. So yes, how can we do that? It's very difficult. As we mentioned earlier, also Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he had 13 children, and he was able to maintain them, but at the same time, he's very fully Krishna conscious. Fully Krishna conscious. Now it is very even difficult to maintain one or two kids and not also being Krishna conscious. So we should not forget that vision. We're talking about that last night as well. Our vision should be to go back home, back to Godhead, to attain love of God. And we have to perform our daily activities in such a way, both material and spiritual. Not just, if we can perform our activities 51% spiritual, then success will be there in the end. That's what I mean, prioritize. Sometimes you've been asked, Maharaj, how can you balance material and spiritual life? It's not 50-50 balance. That's not how it is. It should be 51% spiritual, 49% material, because we have to face the fact of life. We have to work. We have to face the mundane world every day. We have to associate with the non-devotees. How many are practicing Krishna consciousness in Manila? You can count in your hands and feet. Not many, isn't it? So one must be very, very strong spiritually. Materially, one can be very strong, like a Mr. Universe. But if they're spiritually strong or not spiritually strong, then whatever strength they have materially doesn't count at the time of death. Hmm. So we have to develop our consciousness. We have to develop in such a way our consciousness that first we have to control our senses, our mind. uh, our intelligence must be sharpened by the knowledge coming from the scriptures. And at the same time, we should always remember that I am a servant of Lord Krishna, that I'm not this body, I'm spirit soul. And my vision should be developed in such a way that at the time of death, I will attain love of God, or even before the time of death. That is possible. We don't have to wait at the time of death that we will be thinking of Krishna. Actually, we should be always thinking of Krishna every day of our life, including our family members. Hmm. So, says here that even 5,000 years ago, or previously, even 500 years ago, not everyone can see Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Krishna as a Supreme Lord. There are many demons in those days, and they're also always thinking of Krishna, how to kill Krishna. So one should think of Krishna in a favorable way. The demons, they're also thinking of Krishna, but how to kill Krishna. Prabhupada, he was giving a class this morning, he says, huh? They want to compete with Krishna. They want to be equal with Krishna. They want to forget Krishna, and they want to become Krishna themselves. And it's not possible because that position is already taken by the Supreme Lord. Our only duty is always to remember Him, serve Him, and remember Him in a favorable way. Prabhupada gave an example or examples here of different materialists. Materialist means demoniac in their thinking. Sense enjoyers like Ravana, Hiranyakashipu, Kamsa, Jarasandha, Shishupal. They're very highly qualified personalities when it comes to material assets, material acquisition. But they're not able to appreciate the Supreme Lord's presence. When Lord Krishna was here, or Lord Ram, or Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so merciful that he transformed even the Mayavadis, even the Sunyavadis to be devotees. That is the potency of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So similarly, the followers of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are of the same mood. We should have that faith that, yes, I'm just following in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees, that let me try whatever I can to help a conditioned soul to follow the same path of going back home, back to Godhead. On our own, we don't have any strength. On our own, we don't have any qualification. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu qualifies us and also at the same time help others to become qualified. I was reading the other day also, our spiritual master says, we're begging the Supreme Lord and his devotees to bestow their blessings upon us. And upon receiving that mercy and blessings from the Supreme Lord and his devotees, we're also begging others to take part in the same process of Sankirtan Yagya. We beg the Lord from getting their mercy, receiving their mercy, and we beg the Lord also to give the mercy to others. Both ways. We beg the Lord for ourselves first, and then we beg the Lord also to give the same fortune to others for their own benefit. So that is very high level of Krishna consciousness. First, we have to think of ourselves. There's a saying in English, charity starts at home. Hmm? And then when we receive that mercy, we beg the Lord's mercy, their blessings, the devotees. Then we give. We also share to others the same mercy and blessings. So, somehow or other, we may not have that great fortune to have darshan of the Lord 500 years ago or 5,000 years ago, but Srila Prabhupada, through his books, he has given us the eyes through the scriptures to see the Lord. The description of the Supreme Lord's activities, his pastimes, superhuman activities, and by absorbing our consciousness, our mind, and always thinking of these different activities, then we'll also become Krishna conscious. And one day we'll have darshan of the Lord face to face. Yeah, one may ask, Maharaj, how can I think of Krishna? I have to go to work. I have to go drive, Grab, or Uber. How can I see Krishna in that way? I have to go to the factory. I have to be in the computer all day long. How can I think of Krishna? Because that's the Bhagavad Gita says, right? Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Always think of me. Offer your obeisances to me. Give your homage unto me. And by doing so, one will come to Krishna without a doubt. So it is advisable, especially for the grihastas, devotees, to have deities at home. Because you can be absorbed, whatever you're doing, but at the same time, you're thinking of the deities, what to prepare for them, what kind of offering you will have for them. How are you going to decorate your deities? So even at work, you can think of your deities, or you can think of the teachings from the Bhagavad Gita. That's why it is important to read Bhagavad Gita. We mentioned that also earlier. It's like the doctor says, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Yeah? An apple a day. So we have a saying also, a sloka a day keeps Maya away. So if you read, let's say one sloka here, we've read this today, right? So during the whole day, if you meditate on this sloka and what Prabhupada says, then that is Krishna consciousness. Let's say you went to the temple in Makati and you had darshan of Shishirada Madhava. So you meditate on how beautiful they look, what kind of decorations they are having, what color of outfit they have today. But sometimes, we go for darshan, and as soon as we step out of the temple, we already forgot what do they look like. We already forgot what kind of color they are wearing, the outfit. So you can test yourself when you go to a temple, let's say in Laguna. What are the colors of the outfit of Shishi Gornitai? So if you can still remember that after, let's say, 5 hours, then you are Krishna conscious. or your deities. Yeah, their beautiful smile, smiling face. If you can remember that during the day or the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, then you are Krishna conscious. Then you are thinking of Krishna. So, most important actually, very if not most essential, is hearing. And Prabhupada mentions here in the purport, if we hear from the right source, then it will act very quickly. It's like in I don't know about the Philippines. In India, they have a lot of doctors. They're not all bona fide. They're what we call quack doctor. Or here in the Philippines, not albulario. No, albulario is different because in India you can buy your certificate and put it there. But then they don't know how to really give the prescribed cure medicine. They speculate. So instead of getting cured, you get more sick. Actually, there is a finding, study done in America, that high percentage of people why they die after seeing a doctor is that the doctor prescribing the wrong medicine. Is that true also in the Philippines? Huh? Some, yeah. Not in India. In India, you'll get worse. Uh, so similarly, especially when it comes to hearing the subject matter in relation to the topics about the name, fame, form, qualities, and pastimes of the Supreme Lord, if you hear them from the wrong source, then instead of purifying one's heart, then the material desires increases. And Prabhupada give an example here. They go to the 10th canto immediately again to hear the topics about the gopis. So that is not prescribed. That is not prescribed. Let us first understand Krishna Tattva, Bhagavad Gita, and then we can understand the Srimad Bhagavatam. So, yes, we have to be very careful from whom we hear. And because we're hearing from Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada's words, not just his words. Prabhupada says, I did not write these books. Krishna wrote these books. He is the main author, Lord Krishna. He is this the instrument from which the books could be written. Hmm. So ultimately, the source is Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada has just repeated it for us so that we'll have this privilege, this opportunity to hear, and we'll get connected to the Lord. So there are many pastimes of the Lord in connection with his dealings with the Asuras and others. Killing the demons and having Krishna association with his pure devotees, they are of the same spiritual platform. One should, the others who just want to enjoy and not having understood Krishna's activities, they will avoid the Bhagavad Gita. Oh, this is for elementary. This is basic. So let me just go to the highest level, Shrimad Bhagavatam or other Puranas. Huh? We should read first Prabhupada's books. There are many books out there. Six Goswamis, they wrote very, very highly elevated books about the loving pastimes of Radha and Krishna and the gopis, the dealings. How can we understand, how we can relish those pastimes if we're not understanding the Bhagavad Gita? So first read Prabhupada's books. We did a calculation it will take at least 11 years to read and study all of Srila Prabhupada's books. Then after that, you go back again and read. Where Prabhupada says, I gave everything in my books. There is nothing, no stone unturned. Huh? Everything, Prabhupada says, everything is in the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And then he says, everything is in the first 3 chapters of the Bhagavatam. And then he says, everything is in the first chapter. And then he says, everything is in the first sloka. If you can understand the first sloka, or one line of the sloka, or even one word of the first sloka of the Bhagavatam, one's life can become perfect. So, yes, the unlimited pastimes of the Lord, with the gopis, with the married wives in Dwarka, 16,108 wives, and so on. But we have to hear from the authorized source. So it'll have full effect and will get purified quicker. And then ultimately, it says here that all of this were written by Srila Vyasadeva, the Vedas and the Puranas, to revive our lost relationship with the Supreme Lord. And therefore, hearing of all these scriptures is essential. Hare Krishna. Can we stop here? Time fast so quickly. Any question? Any comments? Anyone would like to add something or subtract something? Yes, sir. Good morning.
How does one be purified if they are deaf, blind, or mute?
Prasadam. Listen, even if you don't hear, sound vibration actually goes inside and it goes touch your heart. Even if you don't know the language, it's like we mentioned. Prabhupada says, while he was giving class, remember that story in South? Yeah? Because the sound vibration is so potent that even if you don't know the language, it purifies one's heart. And now there is Braille Bhagavad Gita. Yes, we can order them for you. If you know someone who's interested, they made it. They provided them in Italy. They give class through Braille also. Braille. It just the blind, just by touch, they can identify. They can read. They can identify the alphabets. So that is possible. The spiritual sound vibration is so potent that even if one cannot speak, cannot hear, cannot see, he can still perform bhakti. You can do artik, no hear, no speak. You can perform artik. That is bhakti. Yes? Okay. Any other points or comment? Alicia, you have any question? Yes, sir.
Kunyari po, kakatulad ko po, bago ko lang po ito nakilala.
You're new in Krishna consciousness, okay?
ano po, hindi pa po buo huli katulad po nung nakilala ko sa ngayon lang po. O, ano po,
What do you mean?
hindi pa po huli yung pagka ngayon ko lang po nakilala si Krishna.
No, you just come in the right time. No one is too late. Oh, there's a saying, better late than never. Right? So, actually, no one is late and no one is early. You just right timing. But one good thing about is that if you have family, especially here, Alicia, such a young child. I'm just giving this example. If she's exposed immediately, then it's more chance that she'll become Krishna conscious. But she may also not take it up when she grew up. Yeah? So you can bring the horse to the water, but you cannot make the horse drink water. Yeah? So now it's good. You are here. And one will say, oh, no, I'm already 75 years old. I'm too late for this. No. It's just the right time. Prabhupada was asked when he first came to New York, there was an elderly lady who joined Dr. Mishra's yoga classes. You know, Dr. Mishra is a friend of Srila Prabhupada, Swamiji. So the elderly lady asked, Swamiji, why you have come late? I'm very old now. You should have come when I was still young. Why you have come late? Prabhupada says, I came late because you are late. I came late. It's not really late. It's just the right time. Okay? Yes. Speak louder. When you're chanting, your voice is so loud.
Don't try to see Krishna. Let Krishna see you.
Yeah, but now is what? Then what is the question?
That is the meaning of that.
What is the meaning of that? That means you should perform bhakti. Then Krishna would want to see you. Krishna doesn't want to see you now. So we want to see Krishna right now. But then when we act according to the prescribed method given by Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, then our actions will be so attracted that Krishna will become attracted to what we're doing, to what we are doing. So right now, because we're not doing pure bhakti, I think many of us are not doing pure bhakti yet. So we have to be serious. We have to become more purified. And there'll come a time that Krishna, even if you're not able to see Krishna, Krishna will make arrangement that he will show himself to you. That's what it means, that don't try to see Krishna, but act in such a way that Krishna wanted to see you. So we want to see Krishna now. We should not wait. Oh, I'm waiting here. Krishna will see me. I will not chant my rounds. I will not read the Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam. I will not associate with the devotees. But Krishna always sees us anyway. But we are not seeing Krishna face to face. That is the difference. Or we may see Krishna, but we don't have full realization that that is Krishna. Just like these demons. They're given the example. They saw Krishna, but they don't appreciate Krishna. So there'll come a time that we will really relish seeing Krishna. Right now, we're still busy with our own sense enjoyment. That is the problem. So we have to give up, or try to give up. And Krishna will help us to give up all of this nonsense that we don't need. And eventually Krishna will show himself. We have to be pure to see Krishna. Okay? Any other points? Adi Guru, you're quiet.
Maharaj, my question is, you mentioned that Leela is very difficult to, during the business, difficult to practice.
Is the most difficult, but everywhere, especially Manila.
Plus, Maharaj, of course, we only have limited like places like this,
Mm-hmm.
ashram and temples, I guess.
So make your ashram like a temple, extension of the temple. Yeah. Have Krishna as the center of your grihastha ashram, so that everywhere, if you don't have Krishna at home, if you don't worship Krishna at home, if you don't chant Hare Krishna, big problem. Maya will attack us. Maya is everywhere. This is the potency of Maya, illusion. Illusion is so captivating that if we don't have this radar detector, Krishna conscious radar detector, am I going to be Krishna conscious if I do this? If not, go this way. Am I going to be Krishna conscious here? Yes? Okay, I'll go that way. We have to be strong spiritually to live in Manila. Otherwise, you'll fall victim of Maya. Write it down. You have to be strong, Krishna conscious wise. Otherwise, I will fall into Maya. Huh? They have a T-shirt called "No Fear." You've seen that T-shirt? No Fear. Huh? Manny Pacquiao. Yeah, right. No. Devotees are always fearful of Maya. Even a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord, he will not play around with fire. You play around with fire, you'll get burned. You give an inch to Maya, Maya will give you a mile. So you must be very, very careful, extra careful. Hmm? And now, because of technology, you can always hear, classes of different. But for me, I don't hear any other classes except Prabhupada. Sometimes I may hear, but with Prabhupada, that is the safest. It's different. There's so many books. I told you already, there's so many books. I don't read many books. I only read practically Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam every day. Chaitanya Charitamrita. There's so many books. You go to Loy Bazaar. You've been to Loy Bazaar, right, Bhaktiraj?
Yes, Maharaj.
Yes, Maharaj.
Yes, but we went to Gangotri and the other devotees went to the bookstore in front of Gangotri. It's Revatinanda and Bhaktagiyan went to the bookstore.
Yeah. There's so many books available. It's like a boy or a child going to a candy store. Ooh.
We became overwhelmed. What's more in Loy Bazaar? Was there, Maharaj?
Yeah, if you want to forget Krishna, go to Loy Bazaar.
I buy them, Maharaj, toasted bread.
Huh?
I buy them.
That's good. That's okay. That's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. That's a story, a true to life story. It could be in a movie also. Put it to a movie.
Music daw kami ng Lord.
Yeah, sure. But Bhagavad Gita, oh Krishna, one lifetime is very. It's not enough to understand. You know. But I would suggest you should read here Krishna Balaram Ashram. Even there is 3 or 4 of you every day. Read for half an hour. Shrimad Bhagavatam every day. This is what we do. Even if you don't understand what it says, the main point is that it purifies us. Yes? At home also you should read.
Yes.
Before going to work. It'll be like your kavacha. It'll be like your protection for the whole day. Yeah. If you read one sloka, then you meditate upon that the whole day. But I have a deity like Gornitai. They're very merciful. They don't take any offenses. Gornitai. Don't go for Radha Krishna immediately or Shalagram Shila, Govardhan Shila. Okay? Yes.
There's one experience that still bothering me until now when I went back from Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Because they said before at the beginning of your class, they said that we should follow the footsteps of the Brajabasis.
Yeah. Don't imitate. Prabhupada says, don't imitate the advanced devotees, but follow in their footsteps as examples.
What I mean, the Brajabasi Vega in Govardhan.
They're not Brajabasis. Brajabasis, they don't beg. They are from other provinces. And it becomes a profession. Acha. Yeah.
Okay, because one beggar there, he got problem on his hand. Then he was begging for some dollar for me.
Dollar. Oh, they see euros, not euros.
They
Or pounds.
They asked for dollars, no?
Or it is
Instead of rupees, they asked for dollars. Then I gave him,
1 rupee? 10 rupees?
instead of giving him a coin,
Give him
1 rupee,
prasad.
I gave him 20 rupees because of the problem in his hands, because he was
Yeah.
problem
Okay.
he has in my hand, parang something
Did he
like
accept it?
that. He accept, and then he's still asking for something, and then he
That's not a beggar.
we're just on the beginning on the background.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
nearby government inside
Right.
the fence. So I asked him if he don't want this, I will take this. Then
Yeah.
he's still begging. And then
No.
I take the 20.
Better just take it. He's not a beggar.
Yeah, then I
Yes.
said Hare Krishna. Then I
No.
go straight.
You know what Prabhupada says about beggars? Beggars can't be choosers. Right? So if you give even 1 rupee, they should be happy. And if they try to pull your dhoti and run after you, they're not beggars. Don't give. Beggars, they're happy whatever you give. They cannot say, "Oh, give me dollars." Why? You're in India. What is dollars gonna do?
India is not for beginners, Maharaj.
Do they do that in the Philippines also?
Yeah.
The beggars?
Slammers,
They ask for dollars now?
no, okay.
See? That means Philippine beggars are better. No. No, we should not. We should not give to those beggars. They're not beggars. They're professional. Professional beggars. Yeah. Yeah.
In the Govardhan Hill, he was playing only dulak, and then he got a very nice voice. And he
Yes.
stand by there, record his voice. And
Yes.
then even if you give or not, he will say Radhe Radhe. He will say,
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Then he will sing. Even if you don't give or you give, you just sing.
That's right.
Something like that.
Mm-mm.
So I think that is the bona fide Brajabasi.
Yes. There are different kinds of Brajabasis. That means One who took birth in Vrindavan is a Brijavasi. One who came from outside and he lived in Vrindavan is a Brijavasi. But the best is one who dies in Vrindavan. You go back home, back to Godhead, guarantee.
So if sabihin ko, we have the chance to be a Prayobasi, we live there.
You can't, no. You don't have to go there to be a Brajabasi. Braj means to follow. To follow who? The Brajabasis. So you can be in the Philippines and be a Brajabasi if you follow in the footsteps of the Brajabasis. And what is it that we have to follow? To always think of Krishna and never forget him. Then you're a Brajabasi. Even in Manila. Okay? If you have the opportunity to live in Vrindavan, then that is good. But one can be in Vrindavan, but also not be in Vrindavan. Physically, you may be there, but if your mind is in sense enjoyment, then you are not in Vrindavan. You are in Maya. But if you're in Manila and you're always thinking how to serve, how to please Krishna and his devotees, then that is the Brajavasi mood. Understood? Okay, because not everyone can go to Vrindavan. Sometimes it takes them years to go. They have to save money. Some devotees, it takes them 12 years to go to Vrindavan. And then they go back and they'll take them another 12 years because no money. But money, if you use for Krishna's service, then you're also Brajabasi. Yes. Yes.
Tanong ko lang po kung ano po yung magiging karma ko dahil parang medyo napabayaan ko yung mga anak ko. Hindi ko sila nabibigyan ko. Dahil po, nandito.
Even right now? Heavy, heavy. Your first duty is your family. Okay, don't forget that. Because it says one should not be a king, one should not be a teacher, one should not be a spiritual master, one should not be, yes, a parent. If you cannot save your subjects from the cycle of repeated birth and death. So if you have children, they're still young, your duty first is your family. You cannot run away from them. Yeah. But you can be with them and be Krishna conscious at the same time. It is not that, okay, I give up my family and I be here. I'll be Krishna conscious and I don't care about them. Oh, confirm. So, no.
I have to work first before I have to serve.
You can work and serve Krishna at the same time. It's not that when you work, you forget Krishna. No, you can work and still remember Krishna. Okay? We stop here? Opo? Opo. Okay. Srila Prabhupada K. Queen Kunti K. Idaigo Shitana Pramananda. Hari Hari Bol. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Hare Rama. Okay, we stop here now. We have another program in Intramuros. Hari Hari.